Hey everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. Good morning, 5 a.m., broadcasting live from the Southwest Center for Advanced Sobriety Studies here at the lifeboat. So, have a good day yesterday, peeps. The boat, I mean. Get in here, squirrel. Sorry, that's the captain's mate. She's out there meowing and doing nothing else. Yesterday we did the if somehow you missed the lifeboat for the last 24 hours, and that happens. Things come up, stuff you got to do. I mean, I don't hate you for it, but I'm kidding. In the last 24 hours, I got a call yesterday from AA Ron over at SPTV, growing up in Scientology. And I had left him a message about some stuff going on, like the Larry Nassar thing and what had been going on. John Doe, good to see you. Faces of the Moon. JJ, John, Charlie Murphy, good to see you. Full of hope, glad that you're here. So I had left him a message about what happened with Larry Nassar and some stuff that was going on with Danny Masterson in his pre-sentence investigation, kind of breaking down how that works. And he had left me a message, said, man, let's do this. We'll try to get this on today. And I emailed him back my schedule, and I ran out of the house to run errands. He said, I'll get this. He goes, yeah, we'll do it. And he gave me a time frame and or some parameters, not a time frame. And I said, all right, great. And I ran out to do some shopping, and right in the middle of the stores, I was throwing the last of the stuff in. I got a message from him that said, "All right, I've got the live feed is up and listed and ready to go. We're going in 40 minutes." Well, I wasn't quite. I wasn't within a fast 40-minute. I can get this done and get home. So I stopped shopping and ran, and. Really glad that I did. Since we went live on Growing Up in Scientology over SPTV, we have, let's see here. Sorry. Should have been a little bit more prepared, people, but it is 5 a.m. Don't eat that, squirrel. My cat has a fascination with plastic, and it kind of bums me out. There we go. That's the button. And the winner is, we need 88 more subscribers, people. We need 88 more subscribers, 88 more crew members, 88 more family members. And we are going to hit 5,000 crew members. This is a really big deal. And it's not a really big deal because of this is a report card or bragging rights or any of that garbage that people get really excited about this. And they get excited because it is a report card. And in a lot of ways, it's it tells you if people enjoy your content and things of that nature. The reason this is a big one for me, though, is different because when my bobble-headed partner and I started the lifeboat, especially in the very beginning, we were really, really excited. There she is. We were really, really excited. We were gung-ho. We were getting emails from people that said that their lives were changing. And we started to watch people coaching each other, right? Instead of just the lifeboat trying to motivate people, we saw the crew starting to motivate each other. And we saw the crew starting to answer questions that Mark and I didn't know the answers to. And it started to become something that happened constantly. We'd have a subject matter on hand, whatever that subject might be. Come on, girl. Whatever that subject might be. And when the show was over, we would get emails from 20 or 30 people, maybe more, that would say, so-and-so in the comment section said something that, completely changed my life. And at that point, it really started to sink in that this was different, and when we started doing the live broadcasting, it really started to, we really started to realize that the lifeboat was doing something, and it got very exciting. And at that point we started to, here you go, squirrel. There you go. Go ahead. At that point, we started to. Are you kidding me, squirrel? started to set goals, started to write down what we wanted to do. By the way, this is a shout out to Mama Berg and her 5 children. I was asked to do that. Sorry. Love you, Mama Berg. At that point, we started sitting down and writing down things that we wanted to do, goals we wanted to accomplish, best case scenario stuff, things like that. And we wrote down where we would like to be at the end of year 1, and we wrote down where we would like to be at the end of year 2. And as it turns out, 5,000 was the number that I wrote down. That's where we wanted to be at the end of year 2. And I'll tell you something, people, before the blessing of growing up in Scientology, having us on with Aaron 3 times now, before that happened, which is only about a month ago, it did not look like 5,000 subscribers by the end of year 2. Hello, Annette. Was going to be something that was even remotely possible. Cheryl Niles, good to see you. Squirrel, we're not doing this. We're not doing this, you crazy cat. Sorry, she's driving me nuts this morning. Cheryl Niles, good to see you. Annette, good to see you. Charlie Murphy, Phases of the Moon. Miss V, we are not doing this, cat. She really is on one, people. Really, really on one. Goddess Divine, good to see you. Kathy, good to see you. Patrick Taylor, good to see you. So I have said many, many times before that I honestly avoid prison content on YouTube. And the reason I do is because I don't want to glorify the stuff. I really don't. And there are a lot of channels that almost seem to go out of their way to make it sound like prison's fun or prison's exciting, or it's a rite of passage, or there's some kind of I don't know. I watch a lot of prison content, and especially if it's somebody that's been to the feds and they're describing, oh, hello, Mr. Novak, good to see you, and they're describing somewhere that I lived, for a long period of time or whatever, and they're not lying about anything. Sharon, I'm so glad you're here. They're not. You've been in my prayer, Sharon. They're not. Anyway, they're not lying about what they did. They're not lying about how they did their time or anything else. It's just that, 2 people can tell the exact same story and really make it sound like it's very, very different. And I had somebody send me an email, and they sent me a link to somebody that made a video about Con Air. And Con Air, people, is the federal government's way of transporting prisoners from one part of the United States to the other. There are well over 100 federal prisons in the U.S., ranging in custody from the very low, which they call camps, right? Federal prison camps, and then the mid-range, which would be the Federal Corrections Institution, and then you have the more dangerous United States penitentiaries. But there's over 100 of them in the United States, and if somebody gets into a fist fight at Beaumont, federal prison, or Beaumont Federal Corrections Institution in Texas, and now they have to be moved, they may end up 2,000 miles away in another prison. So now you have the logistics of, at any given time, between about 180,000 and 250,000 United States citizens who are federal inmates at any given time. And the logistics of transporting those people all over the United States, basically daily. Con Air flies almost all of the time. They take off for a couple of different holidays. Christmas gets a little bit of a break. Thanksgiving does. Not long, like it might be a couple of days. But I listened to this tape. I listened to this video that was sent to me. And there was a gentleman who apparently was a federal inmate, and he was describing the process of getting flown in Con Air. And I thought about maybe linking everybody so that they could go watch this. I'm not trying to make this dude famous, and I'm not, to help build his channel, because he's a pathological liar, or he's just really, he's making up content. But what he described and reality are so far apart from one another. It's absolutely insane. It's not like it could be a misunderstanding. the Con Air he described was remarkably like the one that was in the movie. Like this cat may have watched Nicolas Cage in the movie Con Air one too many times. That's not at all how it goes down. So I am going to talk about Con Air today, and in a little segment that we are going to be calling On the Lifeboat. It's sort of Tommy's brief prison segment. And I'm doing this because this is going to build the boat. That's why I'm doing this, because this content gets an awful lot of clicks. But if you're here hearing this for the first time because you saw Con Air, Life Behind the Walls or whatever, all right, here's the deal. You'll get a little bit of this. This is definitely a segment, kind of a thing that I will be doing probably once or twice a month on the Lifeboat. However, the Lifeboat's not a prison channel. The Lifeboat is about teaching people that you do not have to live your life addicted to chemicals. You do not have to live your life unable to control yourself. You know, the slavery of addiction can be beat, and it is beat through connection. The opposite of addiction is connection, and that is our belief here on the Lifeboat. So I will do stuff like this for the purpose of connection, for the purpose of getting more individuals onto the boat, and for the purpose of entertaining some of the people that are on the boat. So we do have people, even that have been here a long time, who, you know, pretty consistently ask me to do a show on prison every now and then. And you know what? I should do it. I'm not ashamed of being in the joint. I'm really not. I don't want to glorify the stuff. So I'm just going to, it'll probably have a slightly different, I'll probably have a slightly different feel to it than those other channels. That said, let me tell you how Con Air really works. So let's say you get into a fist fight, or you get stabbed, or you do something, you get caught with a bag of wine, you get caught with drugs. There are about 150, 160 infractions that can get you shipped off of a prison yard. There's a lot of things you can do to screw up. And once you screw up, you get into the system. And the system means Texas, right? Everything that happens as far as transportation, as far as where you get designated, all of that stuff comes through the computation center in Texas. So that's for all 50 states. You screw up, all of that info has to go to Texas, and Texas has to approve the next prison that you're going to go to, right? They have to go through this entire process, and it's the same process every single time, and it takes forever. So let's say you get caught with a bag of wine in September, and they send you to the SHU, to the segregated housing unit, to be punished for what you have done. Well, what's going to happen is after you get to the SHU and this process begins, you're going to go see a disciplinary hearing officer, a DHO. The DHO is going to sentence you to 30 days in the hole. 30 days in the hole. Usually a lot longer than that, but they're going to sentence you to some time and time out. And while you're in there, there's no television, there's no fun. Basically, you can't walk around at will. You're locked in a cage 23 hours a day. So that starts the whole process of just punishment if you're staying on the yard. So you didn't do much. You talk back to somebody. You know, so you got caught out of bounds, which basically just means that you're somewhere where you're not supposed to be at some time. I'm in somebody else's unit. If I live in Unit 2, I'm not supposed to be in Unit 3, and we do that all the time. That's one of those things that happens all the time, because if a guy's selling dope in Unit 2 and you live in 3, trust and believe you're going to sneak into Unit 2. But if you get caught, you'll go to the hole for a week. If you get caught a couple of times, you might go to the hole for a month. It's a very small infraction. The other people there, they're getting shipped, and that's the term, right? So-and-so is in the hole. Man, can we keep him on the yard? No, he just got word they're shipping him. And you may never see that cat again, right? And this happens every day. Someone's getting shipped off a yard. They're going to the hole every day. Someone is getting the word that they're getting shipped off the yard. So now that happens, the process of assigning you a new prison and all of that takes place. It can take anywhere from 30 days to 180 days just to hear where you're getting shipped to. see if your custody level rises. Let's say I've seen where somebody comes into a prison and they go to a prison camp, right? That's club fed. That's no fences. Like you're there on the honor system. They don't even lock the doors at night. And the amount of freedom that those cats have, because there's no fence, someone will call their girlfriend and say, hey, drop a case of beer in the parking lot. Or, you need to leave a tennis ball in the parking lot. They cut a hole in the side of a tennis ball and they jab it full of all kinds of contraband, dope, things like that. This is for skittish girlfriends because they can literally drive by the prison and just throw the tennis ball out the window. And then when, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, it's dark as hell out, those guys will sneak out, go into the parking lot, pick up all the tennis balls from all the different girlfriends or brothers or, crime partners that got dropped off. And so there's a ton of drugs. There's just a ton of freedom. There are video games. I was in the shoe with a guy who started at a federal prison camp. And he was telling me the story. I said, what are you in here for? He goes, wine. And I go, yeah, there's a lot of people in here for wine. I said, what were you making it out of? And he just looked dumbfounded. He goes, what do you mean? I said, what were you making it out of, the wine? And he goes, I wasn't making it. I said, what are you in here for? He goes, I got caught with 3 bottles of wine in my locker. And I said, from the street? And he goes, yeah. I go, how in the hell did that happen? And he said, one of the guys, one of our jobs is to go into town and pick up anything that's needed for the prison. If there's, they need a fuse or they need, something random, they send in people from the camp, prisoners. And when I left prison for the last time in Oregon, the guy that drove me to the airport was an inmate from the camp. And I said to him, hey man, can you? I wanted a cigarette. I said, can you drive me by a store so I can grab a cigarette? He said, no, man. He goes, they time you and they watch you on satellites. He said, in the old days, you could do that. He said, but if they see you stopped for any period of time or left the route, he said, then you're screwed and you get nothing. And I said, oh, all right, I get it. But I was going to a halfway house. So we pulled up. I hopped out of the car, right? You could see all the sets of red lights. I ran in, got a pack of smokes, and then had to try to catch up to him. It was actually really funny. I tipped the guy. But the satellite camps, lowest level of custody, most freedom. I've seen guys that came into the system at that level, and they get in a fist fight, and they get sent to the shoe, and then they get sent to another camp. And at that camp, they get in a fist fight. And then when they go in and search the guy's stuff, they find some dope in his locker. Well, the next thing you know, his points have elevated to where he gets sent to a federal, an FCI, a federal corrections institution, which is like the mid-level. And then within the FCI designation, you've got low, medium, and high, right? And low, medium, high basically doesn't just mean custody level. It means how safe are you going to be? The higher the custody level, the more respect is given out, right? And to be honest, if you're out of the fray, the penitentiary is the safest place to be. If you completely live out of the fray, then no one's going to mess with you because the level of respect that people give one another is incredible. But if you got bad paperwork, if you got a loud mouth, if you're one of those people that tends to get into scuffs, or if you drink or do drugs or gamble, eventually something bad's going to happen to you at a USP. Even if you stay in your lane, if you're messing with drugs, booze, any of that stuff, or if you have a gay relationship behind the wall, you're also going to end up getting stabbed or whatever. So once they say, all right, you're getting shipped and the custody level's been designated and that you're going to a new yard, they know what prison you're going to. They come back and visit you in the shoe. Every Tuesday they do a walkthrough. And that means the head of every department has to go through the shoe and ask if we have any complaints. And it's the funniest crap in the whole world because you go up to the door and you go, yeah, I got a complaint. And they look at you like this and they nod and they will give you 30 seconds to tell them what's bothering you. And I don't care how bad the problem is. You got 30 seconds because at the end of that 30 seconds, they're just going to walk away. Even if you're in the middle of talking, it's really a rude system. But when that happens, there's a captain, he's walking around with a piece of paper. Everybody in there's got their info. And people will say, hey, man, am I designated yet? And the question will be, when did you see DHO? And if you say anything less than like, a month to 2 months, they go, yeah, they don't even look on their paper. But after the 60-day mark, they'll start looking for you. Hey, boss, am I designated yet? No. Once they tell you you're designated, it can be anywhere from a month to 3 to 4 months before you get shipped. Now, once that whole you get shipped thing happens, they wake you up at the crack of dawn. And I don't care whether you're going locally or you're flying all the way across the country. If you are going to be on Con Air, they will wake you up anywhere between 2 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. And that starts your day. And there is no chance in hell you're going to catch a little cat nap. You're going to do anything, because not only are you going to be on your feet all day long, but you're going to be shackled all day long, right? So you're going to have a chain that goes around your waist. Coming off of that chain, right, is another small set of like a ring that your handcuffs go through. And now you've got your handcuffs in the front, right, and at your waist. And the belly chain that's at your waist, they're going to pull that in the back tight as hell, and then use a padlock to lock that in place. So you are very uncomfortable. You can't get your hands to your face. And then down at the bottom of your legs, you've got another set of very large cuffs that go around your ankles that restrict your walking to about a foot and a half of how long your stride can be, right? You're hobbled, so to speak. And that's a very uncomfortable thing. Trying to walk like that's hell. Worse than that is how those cuffs sit on your ankles. And I have had 5 Achilles tendon surgeries, right, from skiing on one side, all on one side. But when they put those things on, so the good news is I've got ankles that are so friggin' big that sometimes they have to take out what's called the Frankenstein cuffs, which looks like the little leather things that they cinched down Frankenstein with when he was on the table. Super comfortable as far as that process goes. So if I go to court, they'll shackle me. But if I'm going on Con Air and they know it's going to be an all day long thing, they will not make me wear those ankle cuffs, which was a blessing. Everybody on Con Air hates me because they look down like, oh, that dude's ankles aren't bleeding. But you start your day at 2:30. They shackle you up. And now they're going to transport you out to the airport to get on the Dirty Bird, right? To go get on Con Air and start this process. Now, if you've ever flown anywhere in the United States, or if you've done a decent amount of flying in the United States, you probably realize that we have hubs here in the U.S., the largest of which would be O'Hare in Chicago, right? Atlanta being another huge one, where no matter where you're going in the country, this is kind of like it's ground zero. If you're going to have to change planes or whatever, these are big areas for fast changing of planes, hundreds of thousands of flights taken off, right? Okay, so for any kind of transportation all around a large place, usually you have a hub. Well, in the federal prison system, there are 2. The big hub, the largest of them, is in Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City has at the airport, there is a prison right on the damn grounds of the airport. And if you've ever flown in there and you go, oh, Tommy, I see a prison on that. Well, you probably wouldn't notice that it's a prison. It looks like a very nondescript office building, whatever, but it's rises up about 6 floors. It rises exactly 6 floors, and it looks more like almost like an office building, but inside are inmates who will not be there for more than about 2 weeks to a month tops. When you get dropped off there, they then schedule the next part of your transportation, which could be the next day, or it could be up to 2 months. It just depends on where you're traveling to. There are, when I was in the federal system, there were 3 airplanes, right? Not counting ICE, because the ICE planes look identical and they've got federal people that are going in and off of them. And then on those 3 planes are a bunch of federal agents and air marshals The air marshals are different than, they're a very unique crew. These people just fly and they just transport inmates. That's all they do. And they've been doing it for a very long time. And they're the nicest of all people. If you treat them with respect, if you don't, they will absolutely treat you like a piñata and they'll enjoy it. No joke. I'll tell you a couple of horror stories. I've seen people really worked over. But if you treat these people with respect, not only will they treat you with respect, but they will remember you. Like I got on Con Air and then was not on it again for 4 or 5 years. And when I flew back on, the guy was like, I remember you. We picked you up in, in Phoenix or whatever. And it was like, and you watch all these people saying hello to them. If you're kind to these guys, they treat you pretty nicely. But when you get driven out to the airport, you're not going into the main terminal or the buildings or any of that. You say, I've never seen anybody. Every once in a while, you'll see somebody in the airport who has handcuffs on and they're wearing street clothes. That happens because if you get busted in a place and they want you on the other side of the country, the state governments will put you in a Learjet. I've seen things like that happen. But especially if it's important enough a case, they're gonna fly you wherever you got to go, or put you on commercial airlines, with handcuffs. And usually that's someone who's wearing a jacket, a coat over it, or whatever. They try to minimize it so people on the plane or people in the airport aren't freaked out. Con Air is a hell of a lot different than that. You are not going to step foot inside an airport. You'll be on the airport grounds. You will never be inside an airport building. You are literally going to get on the plane on the side of a runway. Yeah. No joke. And usually you're going through your entrance to the airport is different than everybody else's. And there's security gates that you got to go through and checkpoints. And they're looking under. Imagine like they're freaked out about people in airports because of the threat of the T word, which if I say on this video, we'll bury it. No one will ever see it again. But because of the threat of people doing bad things to other people, they're very, very cautious about who they let drive into the runway area of an airport. But you go out there on these buses, and the prison transport buses, there is no other bus that looks like it. If you've been transported in the federal system at any time, you know what I'm talking about. And there are, thousands of these buses driving all over the United States at every minute of the day transporting people. A lot of transportation takes place on bus within a certain distance. The longer stuff is Con Air. So they get you outside and they line you up in huge lines. And it's the most confusing thing that you've ever seen. They're throwing handcuffs on the ground, right? Lining up all the stuff because they're going to end up very often trading out the hardware that you're wearing. In other words, each person that gets on the plane, right? They're counting every single person that gets because the stuff you're wearing on the transport plane isn't the same. And I'm talking about the hardware, the handcuffs, the shackles, all that. So very often they make you swap that crap out. Anyway, so they line you up on the runway. The plane pulls up and you get one of those little ones with the wheels that come out. They open the side of the door and people just start bailing off of Con Air. Tons of them, right? All of the inmates that are getting off that airplane at that stop are coming down. They're going to go off to the left. As soon as the last one comes off, there's 3 or 4 minutes of hullabaloo where 7 different people come on the plane to make sure that every head is counted. They all have to write down the number of inmates and all of that stuff, just in case, Wesley Snipes is on that plane or something for the movie where, the guy's got the thing in his teeth and they count every inmate. And then the shuffle happens again. Now, every other person goes on. Now, from the time you left the prison, 10 people have searched you. They've patted you down. They've made you take your shoes off. They've made, they put their fingers through your hair, under the tongue, all of that crap, behind the ears, lifting up any private parts. For people that are really heavy, they want, your stomach lifted up. If not, they would like your boys lifted up, right? Your onions. That'll lift them up, turn around doing the cough thing, all of those things. That starts the day the first time. And everywhere along the way you go, you continue to get searched. You continue to get searched, patted down, messed with, prodded. Now, we enter the bird. It is a 737. It is not the one that I got yesterday. I'm not kidding you. The guy was talking about the sea. He said he described it's not like the plane from the movie. He said, it's got propellers, and then he went on to describe it, but it wasn't one of the old, drop down the back, like it was in the movie Con Air, and it wasn't, obviously, but it is just a 737. That's it. The most recent bird that they bought from Alaska Air. So on the inside, the carpet scheme, if you've ever been on an Alaska Airlines jet, your mind will remember that you've seen this before. But they bought it from Alaska Airlines, and it's actually a pretty nice bird. There are some incredibly scary stories that you'll hear from Con Air about planes that had duct tape on them and planes that were leaking oil and all of that. And you hear all these crazy things. And I want to tell you something. It's a fact. It is a fact. The previous Con Air, the one that they replaced, it was a 727, I think. Older one in really bad shape. And I kid you not, they literally had tape on the outside of the plane. Not sure what it was for, but I'm not lying to you. They had tape on the outside of the wing of the airplane. And the first time I ever got on it, the pilot gets out of the plane. Now, I don't know, he's the pilot at the time, but guy gets out of the plane, and he's dressed like, he's got on a uniform, but he's got basically a very similar uniform to everybody else. He goes down in front of the landing gear as we're all doing our thing. And we've been out there maybe 15, 20 minutes. So the plane's been sitting there. And he goes over, and there's a spot about this big on the ground next to the front wheel. And it's getting a little bit bigger. Like, you can see the drip. It's at a pretty good clip. This dude reaches down, puts his finger in it, right? Stands up, licks it, tastes it, starts rubbing it like this with his finger. I looked at the guy next to me. I said, "You have got to be shitting me." Seriously, that dude just did he's trying to determine what fluid is leaking out of the plane we're about to fly in. So, but that one's parked in New Mexico right now, just parked on the side of the runway. I saw it like 2 times when I did a Con Air transport. We had to park there for a while. And like it was another one of those runways that you change planes or whatever. And I've seen Con Air parked on the side of the road. The original Con Air that I saw when I flew the first time, which would have been in 2010. In 2010, I got on it for the first time. I was on that plane. This is no lie. I was on that original Con Air. And the guy sitting next to me goes, "I smell smoke." And I was like, well, most of these, the air transport, the guys that do the air transport, I said, most of these people smoke. As soon as the plane hits the runway, they're all out there, doing their thing. The air marshal guys all smoke. He goes, "No, dude, there's something on fire in this plane." I said, "Man, calm down." And this guy had already told me, he's never been on an airplane. He was nervous about flying. I'm like, "Dude, you're not smelling smoke. Take a deep breath." And then sure as crap, not only can I smell it, I can see it. And it's like 8-10 rows up directly below like your overhead where, you pull down so you got those lights and you got the little air that you can turn on right there. Smoke rolling out of that compartment right there. And I mean, rolling out, pretty good clip. And I'm like, holy crap, dude, this plane's going to go down and there's going to be 250 inmates and probably 25 U.S. Marshals on this plane, shackled, right? Shackled. There's no chance. And do you think they're going to try to get us off that plane? Trust me when I tell you that if that thing goes by, the only people getting off that plane are going to be people that do not have chains between their ankles. I shouldn't say that. I think that those guys do take their jobs pretty seriously, and I bet they would try to save as many people as possible. I don't think they'd be successful. It would be very difficult to get all those people off the plane, and most of them are alpha males, right? These are all people that broke the law. They're all people that get into fistfights. They're all people that, don't have a whole lot of respect for normal society, which can lead to really bad things happening. So it looks like a regular airplane. You're not going to get the stewardess that stands in the front and shows you how to buckle. None of that. They're not going to tell you where the exits are. You're not getting any of that. The pilot's not going to come on the radio and tell you, if you look out the left side of the aircraft, that is the Grand Canyon, one of the 7 wonders of the world. You can see this from space. I think it's super funny the way pilots talk. It's always made me laugh. But so you're on a regular size airplane. There are no first class seats, and it is one of the few places on in the prison system where the guy sitting next to you is very likely to be black or brown or anything, right? They segregate you everywhere in the prison system. You go into the chow hall, the whites eat at one table, the blacks eat at another table, Mexicans eat at a third table. There are tables for even, like they'll say that's the West Coast table, right? But in that section, there's going to be this is just people from California. Like everybody clicks up as much as they can in prison, and you get these little micro groups of people because everybody hopes that there's somebody that's got their back, right? Like but you're segregated to beat hell. And when you get on Con Air, the people putting you on that bird, they don't care. And I've been on Con Air 7 or 8 times, somewhere in there. Maybe, yeah, at least 7 or 8 times. And that means that I've been transported 7 or 8 times. Sometimes you got to make 3 different Con Air flights, on one transport. If you're going from, like I went from Arizona to Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, and I took so many. It was the most ass backwards route that we had to take, because unlike normal flights where you go, it's a nonstop, they got to stop sometimes. You get up in the air and you come down 25 or 30 minutes later because they're going to drop people off on that runway and then take immediately back off and then drop people off at the next runway where we may pick up more people. It's like a bus. It's like taking a Greyhound bus more than it's like taking an airplane. At every possible stop, they're going to be pulling over. There's no 2 ways about it. But the frightening thing too is that there are a crapload of people on that plane who this is going to be their first flight. You hear it all the time. Never been on an airplane before. So we start getting put on. I'm getting on here for my first time. This is my very first time on Con Air, and I was leaving Arizona. First time I flew Con Air was from it was. I got bussed from Nevada to Arizona. I took a bus to get there, which was ungodly. Same process as Con Air, except you're on a bus and you're shackled to the guy next to you. Right, the 2 of you are chained to each other, which is just lovely. And I was on that bus. I kid you not, 18 hours, something like that. It was brutal. Didn't even have pads on the seats. But anyway, back to Con Air. This is my first time ever getting on. Never been on there before. Nothing. And I'm going up the ladder to get into the plane. And there's a good size dude in front of me that has a swastika on his neck, and he has 1488 across the back of his dome. He has all of the markings of someone who is in a white supremacist gang. He's really tatted up. Well, when he gets to the top of that walkway, they mention to him that, or he realizes rather, that he's going to be sitting next to a black guy who, by the way, is also a really big dude. And he says, I'm not sitting next to that dude. And the Air Marshal, the U.S. Marshal, says to him, why not? And he said, I don't sit next to other races. He's like, I only sit with my own kind. And he's like, so if you just, slides, he goes, look, dude, you're sitting there. And he goes, no, man, I ain't sitting there. Right? It's not happening. Now, you're not going to hear him use racial slurs, any of that stuff. That may happen in movies. They may keep the races separate or whatever, but you're not going to hear that kind of banter or that kind of nastiness. Never happen. Because that kind of stuff, disrespect of that level, that jumps off things like riots. Everyone will take insult to that. And that's why, it's kind of why the rules are so barbaric in the way that discipline is handled among the races. I mean, among our own races is so vicious. It's the stop somebody. If you don't have those kind of heinous rules in place, then somebody who's just a jerk could do something like that. Start dropping the N-word all the time because he's just a racist, piece of crap. Well, that will cause a race riot, which is nothing anybody wants. For real, it's going to disrupt the program of every single person in the prison. You're going to be locked down for a long time. People don't get to see their wives, and this is just nobody wants that to happen, which is why the rules are there and they're brutal. But so here we are standing there in this bit of a showdown between the U.S. Marshals and a Nazi who has zero intention of sitting next to this black guy. And he goes, "Look, man, I'm just not doing it. And there's, you can't make me do it." Oh, but they can. The guy basically said to him, "Look, dude, you got two choices." He said, "You're going to sit next to that dude, or you're going into the Cyrus the Virus cage." And I'm not making this up. That's literally what he called it. But at the back of the plane, there are several Cyrus the Virus boxes. They are made of mesh, steel, little metal. And they are welded, together. And this is the no fun chair. Like if there has ever been a no fun chair, this is it. This is not anybody that is going to be enjoying their time on Con Air. They're be lucky if they get fed. When you're in the Cyrus the Virus cage, you can't stand up. There's not enough room to move. Like if you're claustrophobic, this should be a very uncomfortable period of time. Atta girl, squirrel. Steal the show. I just don't want her stepping on the keyboard because she's been known to turn off live feeds every once in a while. This is a really crazy animal. So the U.S. Air Marshals give him one last try. Listen, man, sit. And he kind of leaned into him when he said it, and the dude leans into the U.S. Marshal the same way to say no. But when he leans in about half an inch farther than they wanted him to, this guy gets taken to the ground in shackles, no warning, no nothing. They grab this dude who is top heavy as hell, and it doesn't matter how big and tough you are if your hands are cuffed at your waist, right? I mean, there's not much you can do. You bite a guy, you can headbutt the hell out of somebody. But those are your only options. You can't kick them, right? Because your legs are shackled. You can't punch him. You can't grab him. What are you going to do? So they grab this big dude and slam him down onto the ground. And they instantly, of course, start with the magic words that every single person who has ever worn a pair of handcuffs or been arrested, they know these magic words. You see, there are two words when said in sequence will allow people to kick the crap out of you, and no one will ever give them any they won't get in any trouble for it. And those magic words, of course, are stop resisting. Stop resisting. Your hands are shackled at your sides, right? How much resisting can you do? But they're on top of this dude yelling, "Stop resisting, stop resisting." And when they were unsatisfied with the level of his resistance stopping, out comes the taser, and they tase him. Ugly. Now, again, keep in mind, people, this is my first time on Con Air. I am 3 feet. I'm in first class for all intents and purposes, right? If this was a normal airplane, I am on maybe the second row of first class. I just entered Con Air for the first time in my life. And this guy is now tased and on the ground, and I'm like, holy crap. I take my seat, happy as hell, basically sitting next to the black gentleman that the Nazi didn't want to sit next to. The outside of Con Air is white. There's no markings on it. Head to tail, it is just a white airplane. It does, however, have a very small American flag. And by small, I mean not much bigger than that. American flag on the tail. When they replaced the old one that smoked, that plane had seen so much crap in its life. The number of stories I heard from people, terrifying stories about that plane. And you think, well, a lot of people really juice this stuff up. So my first time on Con Air, I fly out of, so I sit down. The flight goes at that point No problem. No more drama, right? We're good. We landed in Atlanta, and the holdover, the federal pen in Atlanta, is a rat-infested castle. It is the nastiest thing you've ever seen. And the inmates are running the asylum. The guys that work at that transfer center, they're there full time, right? They're doing their entire prison sentence at the transport part of that prison. I got there and they're walking me in, and I'm telling you, people, this is the gospel truth. They're walking me into the holding to my holding cell where I'm going to be sleeping until I get out of there. And the guy says to me, the guy being the uniformed wearing officer, says to me, if you need anything, you guys got toothpaste, toothbrush, all that? Yeah. If you need anything if you need anything illegal, so I think is the term he said. If you need anything else or anything illegal, talk to your porter. These are the guys that sweep the halls, do all that. And I looked at the dude, my cellmate, and I go, what the hell did he just say? And he goes, oh, yeah, man. He goes, you want to buy anything. You can get a cell phone in here, right? You can buy anything you want in this holdover. You know, and you do it through the porters. And I look out, and the porters are wearing gold chains, and they got on Air Jordans, and I mean it was bizarre like that. You don't see a whole lot of like wild, off the chain, crazy, out in your face kind of corruption in the federal system. I mean, what's going on, and that there are cops that are making decent money bringing dope in and stuff like that, making extra money, but. Yeah, it's not just in your face. Like, they didn't care who knew. You want to buy some dope? Go talk to them, because those cops, I mean, they're in on it. Plain and simple, they're in on it. And I did buy dope at that facility, because I said to the porter, I'm like, look, man, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. If the process takes too long, and he goes, oh, I'll be right back. Dude comes back and goes, you're going to be here 3 days. I'm like, they just told you that? He's like, yeah. Man, they don't tell anybody that. You can't tell somebody you're transporting when they're getting transported, right? Because Vin Diesel will show up in a car, Dominic, whatever the hell his last name was, started with a T. Toretto. Dominic Toretto from the Fast and Furious, right? I'm going to pull up and break us out of the Con Air bus. So I get my dope, I get whatever. I get on the flight for the next leg, which is going to take me to Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, the SMU, the Special Management Unit. And they bring a guy on the plane, and this poor dude is touched, right? We had just gotten on the plane. Basically, the exact same time frame in my second Con Air flight as when the Nazi got body slammed. I'm sitting on the plane this time, and I'm watching people come in one at a time. I mean, coming down the road, taking the next seat, whatever. Then there's nobody, right? And I thought, all right, we're getting ready to wrap this up. And maybe 4 minutes later, they bring a guy to the top of the stairs who's not happy about it. And you can see he's not a big dude, long curly hair. And he keeps going, why am I going to Butner, South Carolina? He's like, this doesn't make any sense. Why am I going to Butner, South Carolina? And Butner is, it's a protective custody yard, but it is also a psych yard where people with some very tough psychiatric conditions go to. And so within the prison system, look, people, I suffer from mental illness. A lot of people do. So I'm not picking on anybody. I don't feel like hearing the, all of the emails about it. But within the prison system, right, they call that the loony bin, the nut yard, right? There's a lot of other ones. But so basically this guy was getting shipped to the nut yard, and he couldn't figure out why. The craziest part is, and the guy had a pretty legitimate reason if you think about it, right? This is a guy that got caught in a park, a state park, doing things he wasn't supposed to, in a federal park rather, and doing something he wasn't supposed to. If you do something like that on federal land, you get caught drinking, smoking, fighting, anything small, but you're doing it on federal land, then you can end up in the federal system for crimes that normally aren't federal offenses. right? A domestic violence attack is a state crime. You hit your girlfriend or your girlfriend hits you, that's a state crime. But if it happens at, Yosemite, or if it happens at a national park, you're going to the federal prison system, right? So there are these sort of weird overlapping kind of crimes. Well, that's just what happened to this guy. He was getting drunk and they found some drugs on him, but they found it on him in a federal park. And it was a trip drug of some kind. So when they arrested him, the dude's tripping, and I mean really tripping and saying bizarre things. And so they think he needs a psych evaluation. They're not going to do it at the county jail. The closest spot is Butner, right? But this doesn't make sense to a guy who gets arrested for being high in a park, and the next thing he knows, they're trying to shove him on an airplane shackled. He's about to go into Con Air to go in the feds, and he's panicking, probably legitimately, right? He's doing the "Why am I going to Butner, South Carolina?" And he's respectful, but he just won't stop. And they're going, "Hey, buddy, just go, sit down. That's where you're going." "No, this is a mistake." Well, finally, at one point, a guy walks up and says, "Hey, stop it. We have nothing to do with this. Our job is to transport you. And, you need to just relax." And he goes, "Yeah, well, I ain't going to make your job easy," he says to the air marshal. And then the exact same thing. Tased, slammed onto the ground, and then carried to the back and shoved in the Cyrus the Virus box. Another very funny lie. Hold on, peeps. Sorry. My nose. Didn't Navage this morning. Woke up a little late. Brought to you by Navage. Water goes up one nostril, down the other. Absolutely wonderful. If you don't have a Navage, I'm telling you, you don't know what you're missing. It's a neti pot on turbo steroids. Every time I've gone on Con Air, there's been some little scuffle. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that most of these people don't want to be on an airplane. A lot of these guys are afraid of flying. And if you ever saw a movie back in the 80s where Robert De Niro plays a guy that has to bring a person across country, he's a bounty hunter that has to bring a guy, and the guy refuses to get on an airplane. It's Charles Grodin. Refuses to get on an airplane and they said, you can't make him fly. If he's afraid of flying, you can't force him to get on an airplane. You can't force someone to do something against their phobia. Oh, yeah, you can. Oh, yeah, you can. I have watched many people in that process say, well, I don't get on airplanes. I'm not doing that. Yeah, you are. You're getting on that airplane. You can get on it this way, or you can get on it that way, but you're getting on that airplane. They're going to, they will beat the snot out of you. They will pick you up. They will do whatever they needs to happen in order to get you on that plane. Hold on one sec, peeps. You kidding me? There. You spoiled animal. Sorry. Squirrel one is on one. Squirrel one is really on one. By the way, if you sent me an email, special sauce, midnight run. Well played, special sauce. Now, tell me what year it came out. Tell me what year it came out. Somebody Google it right now. What year did that movie come out? Let's see. I'm going to go 1987. Midnight Run. That was the name of the film. Very funny movie, by the way. Very funny movie. De Niro does... he actually has pretty good comedic timing. That movie is really funny, actually. I wish I could watch that again. But yeah, if you hear somebody telling you a story about Con Air and the airplane is not a white, nondescript 737, then they're probably lying to you. Don't get me wrong. She says Grodin was hilarious. He really was. He really, really was. Oh, Jack. No, if I were your advisor, I just wouldn't. I would advise you not to open a coffee shop. I mean, restaurants. It's just a terrible way to make money. Well, you're not my advisor. I know. I'm just saying if I was. Well, you're not. I know. Just saying if I was. Oh man, he was so annoying. By the third scene, you just wanted to kill him. Cigarettes? Oh, come on, Jack. Cigarettes are a killer. He just busts his chops every turn. Very, very funny movie. For all of you that can watch movies and not get headaches, get out there and watch Midnight Run. You will thank me later. If you've never seen the film, it is absolutely worth watching. I want to do a couple of shout outs. I would really like to do a big thank you to all of the individuals who, after last night's live feed, left a comment about what the lifeboat has done for them. It was absolutely beautiful to read. It really was. It was absolutely beautiful to read. It is the paycheck for what we do here, right? That's getting paid, and it's going to. A lot of those comments are going to be getting put into. Well, let us say that they will be benefiting the boat in more ways than just helping to drive traffic, although that is huge. Let's see where we're at here real quick, people. One of the beautiful things about growing up in Scientology is that he gets so many views. If you take 1% of whatever he gets, we're going to get. It's just kind of how it goes down. We get about 1% of whatever the viewers, and the very first video that he and I did together got 100,000 views. We got 1,000 subscribers, give or take. It really has been a real blessing working with AA Ron. And I want to tell you something. AA Ron is looking for ways to get me on so that the two of us can talk about something. It's something he's always looking at. It's something I'm always looking at. He's doing this out of the kindness of his heart, because like when somebody from his channel comes over here and gets help, and I shoot him a email and tell him about it. I told him the number of people that I had been working, or corresponding with one-on-one from his channel. And as it turns out, a few of them got on medical assisted treatment. And I told him that, and he was just really excited. Aaron is a great guy, a very, very kind individual. And but you can every time you turn on the phone and click, it's going to be a different number of subscribers than the previous time. Before the lifeboat is over, we will probably have picked up about 6 or 7 subscribers during the course of the time that we've been on. It's really, it's amazing for the first couple of days after you do a video on a channel that gets that many views, like with AA Ron. And the guy just does a vicious interview. He really does. There's a part of me that just wants to say to him, hey, you could expand this channel. You've got a great base, but you could be interviewing people about anything because you're damn good at it. But, he's I've heard him speak about this, or at least message about this, that, Scientology is, it's what he knows. And he may not realize this, but he also knows how to do a really mean interview. So I got a couple of things I want to announce to you, crew, before we get out of here, because there's some exciting stuff going on around y'all. Let's start with this. We are going to be starting a segment this week coming up on the lifeboat. It is going to be once a week. New Zealand Chili Head. Thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate that. That was New Zealand Chili Head, wasn't it? Yes. Thank you so much, man. Very kind. Really appreciate that. Scoob with a Doob. Good to see you. Sometimes I get a good feeling. I love it when I see people writing stuff like, Kelly, let's hook up. Let's try to hook up. I love it. Please, people, do that. Hook up, get together, exchange information. Connection is the opposite of addiction. So every Wednesday from now on, we are going to be doing a recurring segment on the boat once a week. We are going to call it Wednesdays with Wages. Everybody catch that? Wednesday with Wages. Yeah, that's right. Coming back to the lifeboat for a segment every single week is going to be my brother and my bobble-headed partner, Mr. Mark Wages. Yes, Annette. Wages World. Mark Wages, my bobbleheaded partner, has graciously accepted the invitation to come back on the boat and do a weekly segment. I honestly, people, yeah, Kelly, that's how I feel too. Well, Mark and I, Mark, this wasn't a band breaking up. This was somebody that had so much going on in his life that he couldn't continue to do what he was doing. He had family stuff going on that was just, so he had a lot of overwhelming stuff. But we never had an argument. Mark and I get along beautifully. It was never anything. His laugh is contagious. There's no question, Cheryl. And he's got a great sense of humor. And some of, I don't know, so many of the greatest memories that I have of the boat, Mark was on. He just was always, just the early days of building this. When it was just when we were learning and we didn't know what we were doing. And Militant Vegan says the lifeboat so close to 5,000 subscribers. Well, I got news for you. The safe bet, people, is that when the 5:00 show comes on tonight, that we will have 5,000 subscribers. That is almost a lock. Militant Vegan says, beautiful kitty. And it really is, isn't it? She is she's not in a basket. Sadly, she's kind of being a real pill this morning. So that's an announcement. Every single Wednesday will be Wednesday with Wages. Stroming plus Vegemite, says Full of Hope. If I'm not mistaken, I said that I would eat Vegemite when I got the silver play button. Pretty sure that that's what I said. And I said I would eat it every day for 2 weeks, which I may live to regret saying that. And we'll, Squirrel, don't step on the keyboard. The problem is that you can turn this off by a couple of different keys. And I don't want Squirrel to end the live stream. She's done it about a half a dozen times. All right, peeps. So Wednesdays is going to be Wednesday with Wages. There are going to be, Balake, good to see you. There are going to be several. Wages is the first channel I ever followed. How cool is that, Cheryl? Oh, man, Mark would love that. He'd love that. But Wednesday, Wages Wednesday is going to be a new segment. That is the first announcement. There are going to be at least 2 other weekly segments, and that's not counting Saturday Night Boat. This Saturday there will be giveaways on Saturday Night Boat. In fact, there are going to be a lot of giveaways on this on Saturday's boat. If you are one of the people who emailed me a question about anything that you see there, I am not answering you. If you cannot see, because there's nothing on that table that isn't there for a reason, or that shelf that isn't there for a reason, or there to, you're gonna have to blow it up. You're gonna have to get the ability to blow that stuff up real huge. Somebody asked me if the book Alice in Wonderland was on the shelf. Obviously, like, there are certain things that are a lock, and I don't mind, because obviously Alice is going to be there. You can pretty much guarantee there's a Bible up there. But any of the other things, there's a reason for all of them. And I'll tell you something. I will share this, because if you can't see Yoda, you are blind. That Yoda there is up there really as a tribute to my bobbleheaded partner. He's my dog threw up a bit from eating grass, and I still let him lick my face. I love this little dog. My cat does that. My cat eats grass, and it really bothers me. So let me tell you something, peeps. BKA is why I came to this channel. BKA. Oh, Blue Coo. I'm sorry. Man, I'm slow as hell today, Chris. I'm sorry. Slow as hell today. See, that's you old timers, man. You've been with old Mark a long time. Old blue Kool-Aid. You can drink this Kool-Aid. Well, we ran a little long. Yeah, blue Kool-Aid. I figured it out right before you typed that out. Your dog's out of jail now. Good. Patrick, I love that. I love that. I feel the same way, honestly, about my cat has been so good for my head. Animals in general, people. The animals in general are fantastic. You know, there's a big thing between people who are addicted to drugs who get sober, and then almost everybody gets a pet. And I think one of the reasons somebody asked me about it, what was my theory, and I feel like it's nice to have somebody in your life that you never lied to. It's nice to have somebody in your life that you never let down. It's nice to have a brand new shot at a relationship where, because of the fact that all of the responsibility of whether this relationship goes good or not is on you. I think that there's just so many fantastic things that an addict can get out of taking care of an animal. But make sure that you're ready to adopt before you do. You know, that you're solid with income and that you got a place that the animal is going to be safe. Because this is going to sound awful. It really is. But you see in our country, you see people on the side of the road with signs asking for money or begging for money or whatever, panhandling. And, it never bothers me. But when I see them standing with a pet, it absolutely crushes me. My ex-wife and I used to carry Ziploc bags full of dog food, so that anytime we saw somebody out there doing that, panhandling, had a dog or whatever, we would stop and hand the person the bag of dog food. And I mean a Ziploc one, because if you hand them one that is brand new, they'll return it and buy dope for it. And I'm not bad-mouthing anybody, because I used to do that. I'm just telling you that's how it works. If somebody gave me anything that was in a package and I could return it, I did. Because the only thing that mattered was dope. I miss not having a pooch. Well, Special Sauce, I am going to, as captain of this here vessel, advise you to get another pooch. Yeah, get another pooch. Be good for you. Sorry, 1 second. Kathy, good to see you. Kathy's probably on the treadmill. All right, peeps. This is actually this is the decoration, right? This is actually R2D2's hat. And now he looks silly with his sunglasses and no hat. But hear that noise? It's my cat destroying a box. Yeah, give it hell. The real hat is being cleaned. It's being tailored. I want R2D2. Do you know why you can't have R2D2? Because that R2D2 is being given to my bobbleheaded partner. I promised him the day that I got that I was going to give it to him after it hung out here for a while, because he's a big Star Wars nut. I still have the paperwork and the handbook for him. I got him in a parking lot. If you've been on a boat, you might remember this, but I got him in a parking lot. At one of those watch shows that I did. I didn't actually got him inside, but I saw the person in the parking lot carrying him, and I was like, I want that. Like, I don't go in there and sell that. I want that. I'm like, I got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of watches. Come by and let's make a trade. And you should see him on the floor. He does his little number, and he's trainable. Like, he responds to your voice. And I have a mini R2D2. Well, and you should. Everybody should have a. Full of Hope says border collies are so intelligent they need to work. Oh, Kelly, I am allowed coffee. I'm cool. I'm cool with coffee. I bragged that they didn't restrict my salt, right? I told everybody that. And then when I left, it was in the paperwork. Now, maybe that's just boilerplate that they put it in everybody's paperwork. But yesterday, my blood pressure was in the teens on the top. So in like 119, 118, over 60 something. My resting pulse currently is in the 50s. And yeah, I feel good. I really do. I feel good. Today, I've got to go and take care of medical stuff again. So I'm going to be, I adore Wally. Yeah, Wally is awesome. There's no question. I adore Wally too. I have a cat and 6 rabbits. My own food chain. Face cream smell. I love them all to bits. They give me a reason to live. Yeah, you know what they do. Animals are fantastic. And I think the other reason that addicts all seem to gravitate towards animals is because it's unconditional love. It's the same reason that people gravitate to the lifeboat. It's unconditional love. It's people here that are going to accept you for who you are. They're not going to judge you. You know what I mean? Like a dog never gets out of a car and says to somebody, "That's your haircut? You're wearing that outside?" Right? Honestly, that guy's got a nicer car than you. Animals don't care about any of that crap. They want love. They want affection. They want to be treated nicely. And in return, they will entertain the hell out of us and bring us so much joy and love. I don't know where I'd be without them. I really don't. Hold on. People. 4,913. This evening, we will be getting together and doing this voodoo that we do so well. The lifeboat, we'll be getting together. I've talked about this picture on the air about 250 times. I've talked about this so many times. I've described this about how my niece, the one that everyone jokes is my favorite because I've got a bunch of nieces, but this was Spanx Calhoun. Spanx Calhoun and my niece were the same age, born at the same year. So they grew up kind of together, and they were always together, and I was always with them. But the day that I got married, my niece was really unhappy. First of all, she loved me, but she was miserable, and that is the picture of her angry and crying on the day of my wedding. But I've been telling that story for years because the whole bald thing. See, that's what I look like. I used to have hair. I could grow that hair back tomorrow. I would just have to pay Bosley Medical like $35,000 to make it come in. I did therapy dog work for years with my Shelties. It was so rewarding. Kathy, how cool is that? Do you see this comment right here? Comments work. Please leave one. Please. You know what, people? I have always said that I thought it was cheesy when YouTubers come out and say, "Hey, please leave a message. Do what you can to help the boat. Please share this video or other videos and tell somebody about the boat. Please." And if you are not a subscriber, and 20% of you are not, 20% of the people that watch the lifeboat are not subscribers. Why the hell not? I promise you, we're not going to tell your mom. Right? We won't tell anybody that you're subscribed. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell for notifications, right? And on the way out, give us a thumbs up and a comment. Truthfully, if you're going to skip one, skip the thumbs up. Don't skip the comment. It really does propel the boat. It really does. And I may not answer you right away, but I am endeavoring. If you've been on the boat forever, you remember the time I tapped out. And when I tapped out, I had answered 10,000 or something comments. Like from the day the boat started, I didn't miss one for probably the first year. And it's to the point now where I'm spending so much time emailing, texting, and doing things with people that that I've said it before, if there's one thing that I'm going to neglect, it's going to be that before it's an email or, a text message or something like that. But I would, especially with all the new people that are coming in, I am going to do everything within my power to answer all of those. It's also another comment. It shows that we work back and forth. The Puffinator. Puffinator, were you ever in prison? Just out of curiosity. That's kind of a personal question, but we can't see you. The reason I ask is I actually did time with a guy that called himself the Puffinator. Yep. Or occasionally just Puff. I'm singing Gilligan's Island now. Just sit right back and hear a tale of a faithful trip. Started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship. Good, Puff. I'm glad. Try to keep it that way. You'll thank me later. Prison's no fun. It's definitely worth staying out of. Yeah, the smiley works. You're good. A 4-hour trip. A 4-hour trip. A 3-hour tour. A 4-hour trip. This is R2's hat, but I'm probably going to be wearing a Captain Steubing. No, it's this one. Old Benny Hill. Sorry. Watching people get tased is fun, sort of. John Doe, I agree with that. I'm sorry. I really think it is. Patrick Taylor, I hope you have a great day today. All right, peeps, this is a wrap. I let it go a little bit longer this morning because the numbers were going up. You know what it says on his gravestone? Full of Hope says, Benny Hill is an embarrassment. Well, then I would probably be embarrassed to admit that I loved that show. My dad and his dad used to laugh hysterically at the Benny Hill show. The comedy on that was just slapstick and fun. But on his gravestone, it says, I saw a video with the original SS Minnow still on the water. The owner said he can't give away a 3-hour tour. All right, peeps. So I am off like a herd of turtles, but I will be back this evening to celebrate what? To celebrate 5K. Thank you to every single person on this boat that has just continued to come and make it great every day. Today is dig and drill, drain, field pipe. Oh, man. All right, peeps. You saw the crazy cat. You got plenty of squirrel today because now she's up. Hey, come here. Come on, say goodbye. Come here. You know what? You just have to entice her with a basket. Come here, squirrel. Come on. Come here. You're really going to make me look bad? All right, peeps. I have a non-cooperative cat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. We'll see you on the boat. God bless. Make it a great day.